Hello and welcome to the first ever John Jay Boys Basketball Podcast. My name is Robert Seipp. I'm the varsity coach here at John Jay. And for this first ever Boys Basketball Podcast, I'm joined by the captains of the 2025-2026 team, Michael Ferlivio and John Vaquel. Gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing all right. Doing all right. We are recording this on a snow day, so it's December 23rd. So that's the good news. We had off from school today. The bad news is we coming off of a tough loss last night to Arlington. We'll talk about that. We'll get into it, but we're a little late getting this podcast started. We had talked about possibly doing it, but 5 games into the season, hey, better late than never, right? So we're currently 2-3, and let's just start from the beginning of the season, if you guys don't mind. And we'll walk through our first 5 games, and you guys let me know what you think. I'll let you know what I think, and we'll go from there. So I thought, I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought we had some good practices leading up to that first game against North Rockland. We definitely didn't have a lot in terms of an offensive standpoint and even a defensive standpoint. And North Rockland is known for, running a year-round program. I was talking to their coach. I was talking to the Spring Valley coach as well. They just have a really extensive off-season program, I think similar to Lord's, where they just really do a lot in the off-season. I think we all knew they were going to be much more prepared than we were, going into that first game. A disappointing match for us. I think we lost, what did we lose?
52-30?
52-30. Okay. Yeah. And it was at North Rockland. My thoughts on that were on the offensive end, and even 5 games into it, still struggling on that offensive end to only score 30 points. Holding North Rockland to 52 is impressive. So defensively, we did a nice job. But only getting 30 points and 2 points in the second quarter, if I remember correctly, right? We were up in that game. It was tied after the first quarter, 13-13, and Boston had scored a bucket to put us up 15-13 early in that second quarter at North Rockland, but it wasn't good from there, right? I think we were down 29-15 at halftime, and we had only scored 2 points in that second quarter. But tough team, North Rockland. They're good.
Yeah. I remember last year when we had a football game at North Rockland, and when we got there, their basketball team was outside on their courts practicing. So
Yeah.
just to touch on what you said about, the full year thing.
Yeah. And it makes it tough, especially when you're going up against a team like that early in the year. And I love their coach. Their 2 coaches, really, really good guys, really good basketball coaches too. So we knew that they would be well prepared. But for us to be tied after the first quarter, well, it wasn't bad on our end. And, I think what I feel like we always do every single year, at least that I've been a part of the program for the past, 5 years, is we always play hard, and I just felt like we played hard, especially on the defensive end. But really in these past 5 years, we've always struggled on that offensive end to play like a team, and to move the basketball and to run an efficient offense. And that was definitely the case in that first game against North Rockland.
I agree.
Johnny, what do you think? What are your thoughts there on that first game?
I think first game, some of us had first game jitters. I talked to some of the people on the team, but it was just very stagnant on offense. That's about it.
Yeah, it was a lot of guys' first, varsity game as well.
It's a great point. I didn't think
tough
about
environment,
that.
being in a tough environment like North Rockland and against that caliber of a team.
That's a great point. And they were in the section finals last year, North Rockland, and they're returning some players, not all of their players, but some players from that team. So you're right. Very well experienced team, well coached team, a team that is firing on all cylinders going into the season because of their extensive off-season program. And you guys are right. I forgot that that we've got some key players on the floor for us, and it's their first varsity start and their first varsity game. So it definitely makes it tough against a really good North Rockland team. And then we went on the road for our second game. We traveled down to Ramapo, and that was a better offensive output for us. A weaker team for sure, but not a terrible team, right? I mean, Ramapo was not terrible, but we beat them 71-41. So it was nice to see us, score 41 more points than we did in North Rockland. So to score 71 was pretty impressive for us. In that second game, definitely a better offensive output and a real tough day for us emotionally, obviously, especially for Vint. Vince's dad had passed away the day before, and as you guys know, I get very emotional with stuff like that. Just heartbreaking for anybody to lose someone, but for one of the guys on our team to lose his dad the day before, ton of credit for Vince for getting out there and getting on the bus and traveling with us and playing hard. I thought he had a good game. What are your thoughts on that Ramapo team? Was that number 4? Was that the really good player that we had Isaiah on?
That was Spring Valley, I believe. It was number
Yeah.
3. Number 3 this game
3.
for
Okay.
Ramapo.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought they weren't horrible. They were good. They were a good 3-point shooting team, and that's kind of where they hurt us, if they did hurt us. But yeah, I thought it was a good game for us, especially just to have guys get the varsity experience and playing a quote unquote weaker team, even though they're a good team. I thought it was good for our team to play that game.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. I remember being in the locker room at halftime, and I believe, if I remember correctly, we were up by 19. But I remember saying, I don't care about the score. I know we can play better. And my memory is we came out, we had a really good third quarter. I thought we really played well on the offensive end, moved the ball better in that third quarter. You're right. You guys bring up good points with these younger players that we've got. And it's their first varsity, win on the road. Ramapo's not an easy place to play either. Always nice to get that first win. Always nice to get back to 500. Always nice to beat a Class AAA team in Ramapo after a long bus ride. What else? Were you guys emotional in that game? Were you at that game, Michael? Did you play in
Yeah,
it? You were.
I
Okay.
did play in that game. Yeah, it was very tough because Vince lost his father, and then obviously with John in school that day, it was just a lot of weird things leading up to that game.
Well, that's right. John got sick that day in school. That's right. I forgot about that.
I feel like a lot of us on the team, we were close with Vince's dad too, so kind of scarred.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, that's tough. I didn't realize that. Was he like a CYO coach or an AAU coach or just?
No, it's just ever since,
Yeah,
like personally, ever since I moved here, he's always been, welcoming, nice with my family, me, and I went on AAU trips with him and stuff. So
yeah, same here.
Yeah, he's had a great personality, right, Mr. Popovic? A really, really good guy. Just heartbreaking there. Heartbreaking. All right, so then we go, so we're 1-1 after a nice 71-41 victory at Ramapo. In our third game of the season, we host North Rockland, right? Our first home game of the season. You think we'd all be pumped up and fired up. But we had a bunch of guys that were sick. Michael, you missed that game, right? John, you still weren't feeling well. I know Boston wasn't feeling well at all. We had a moment of silence before that game in honor of Vince's dad. So again, just a really, really heartbreaking, emotional. I feel exhausted, and I'm not even out on the floor, but just the emotions of everything that's going on with Vince, and then guys not feeling well and guys being sick. Oh, by the way, you've got to play against this North Rockland team that,
Yeah,
we just played a couple of days earlier, coming back from the section final. So we did a little bit better. We only lost by 20 this time, 66-46. We did score more points playing them the second time. But again, just an emotional night, and with guys being sick, the cards were stacked against us there right from the beginning, I felt like.
yeah, I agree. It was tough. I was watching from home, and I don't know. I didn't think we were doing that great offensively, but then again, if you look at it, it makes sense. We struggle against North Rockland offensively, and we do kind of good against Ramapo offensively, probably because North Rockland's got a good defense.
True. Yeah, it's a great point.
the game was kind of difficult because first game felt easier because we have 3 of our guys sick. One of them's not there.
Right, right. Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah, you were definitely missed Michael, but I tell you, Boston, he's only a sophomore in the first year on varsity. Give him credit though. He's
He did step in.
really has done a nice job, and so has Isaiah Hancock, right? I mean, he's been unbelievable lockdown on defense. He's been really good for us too, and as has John Wilson. So that's that third game at North Rockland, and then we go in our fourth game. We head down to Spring Valley, and we were able to get back to 500. That was a big game for us. We win that game 62-44. And you're right, Michael. Number 4 was the really good player. I think we started Isaiah because you weren't there again, Michael. And I got some stats for you from that game. So offensively, we scored 62 points. Not bad. Again, we scored 71 against Ramapo. And to your point, Michael, we are playing against different level defenses. When we're going up against North Rockland, Ramapo, and Spring Valley. So that's certainly a part of it. But 62 points against Spring Valley. We shot 39% from the floor. It's not great. Just to give you an idea, last year we shot 41% from the floor, so a little under our average from last year. In that Spring Valley game, we were 23% from three-point range. Last year we had averaged 9 percentage points better, 32% from three-point range. Points in the paint, we had 24, they had 14, so we definitely had an advantage against Spring Valley in the paint. 41 rebounds to their 26 rebounds. Last year we had averaged 34 and a half rebounds per game. So to get 41 rebounds and to outscore them in the paint by 24 to 14 is pretty good. But on the offensive end, on the negative side, 17 turnovers. Last year we averaged 16. So doing a little bit better offensively, but still definitely struggling in that game against Spring Valley. What are your memories of that, John, being on the court for that game?
Spring Valley was a very rowdy, chippy team. That's all I can really say about them. They weren't that well as a team. I feel like they're like just individual players. Like number 4, he was a good player.
True.
It's all I can really remember about that game. I feel
And
like we played unselfish basketball, though. Sorry to interrupt you.
yeah, and I'll tell you, all 5 games, I really feel like we've been playing unselfish basketball and really, playing together as a team or doing the best that we can, which is nice to see. And you are right, John, the referees really called that game tight. If I remember correctly, you were in foul trouble. Dustin Lamar was in foul trouble. Austin Seipp was in foul trouble. So that was a major problem for us. But I'll
I
tell you,
remember.
have a guy step in and Logan Whalen gave us some minutes in that game, which we really needed. Trip Tangent gave us some minutes in that game, which we really needed. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I remember watching that game. Felt like there was a foul every possession. Game was always stopping.
Yeah. We were saying on the sidelines, I think that was a Friday night game, right? And I think the Alabama-Oklahoma college football game was on at 7:30. And, we were sort of joking before the game, us coaches and the referees, hey, let's move this game along so that we can go see the college football game. And after the first couple minutes, Coach Procaccino and I turned to each other. We're like, we're not going to be home till halftime of this college football game because there were so many whistles. But John, to your credit, to Justin's credit, to Austin's credit, nobody fouled out in that game. So, we were able to manage that, and keep guys on the floor and still get, an 18-point win. What are you thinking? Spring 2-2. We're 2-2 after that game. Starting to play a little bit better now.
Definitely a confidence booster because we were missing a point guard, Michael. But I feel like that was a must-win game either or.
True.
But it was really nice to see some of the younger guys step in, fill their shoes, Michael's shoes.
Yeah. And like I said, even, getting some juniors on the floor there, Logan Whalen and Trip Tangent, just fighting for us, fighting for rebounds. And if nothing else, like you guys had said earlier, getting those younger guys just some experience, getting them on the floor, very valuable for sure. All right, so we're 2-2. We head into last night against Arlington. We're at home. Head into that game. I had looked this up. I don't know why I'd looked this up. I think as a coach in Section 1 for so many years, I only have losing records against a few schools, and Arlington is one of those schools. Arlington has always had a good tennis team. They've always had a good soccer team. They've always had a good bowling team, and they've got a good basketball team as well. So I know in soccer I've got a losing record against Arlington, and in soccer I think I've got a losing record against Scarsdale. But against Arlington, I don't think I have a winning. Maybe girls soccer. So I coached girls soccer way back in the late '90s, and I probably have a winning record against them in that. But It's frustrating, Arlington's right down the road, a big rival. Ton of respect for them, really good coach, really good guys on the team. Shea Basso was at the game last night. Shea is a kid that I had coached, for years in CYO basketball. And so I always have really good, I taught at Arlington, believe it or not, before I came to John Jay back in 1997. We head into that game, long story short, losing 9 boys basketball games in a row. That's a long losing streak. Last time we beat them was in 2020 during the pandemic. We played them twice that year and beat them twice in the regular season. But since then, we just have not been able to get a win against them. Some of the games have been close. Some of the games have been one-possession games, and last night was one of those games. But disappointed in how we had played in the first half for whatever reason. They were I don't have the stats yet from that game. I submitted the stats, or I submitted the video to get those stats, but I think they're going to kill us on the offensive boards, right? I mean, they just had a bunch of extra possessions. And when that game comes down to, a 1 or 2 possession game late, I definitely question myself as a coach, some of the things that I did late. We drew up the same exact play 2 times in a row, to end the game. Both times it was unsuccessful. Probably should have went with a different one. And the other big regret I have as a coach in that game is I think we were up by a point. John, I took you out because you had 4 fouls, and I put Justin Lamar in, for defensive purposes, and Isaiah Hancock was on the bench, and we were up by 1. That is a gigantic mistake by me and by Coach Procaccino. And we, I think Coach Procaccino had said it afterwards. He said, "You know what? We screwed up there, man. We had Isaiah on the bench, and we were up by 1 point defensive possession." So, as a coach, as a player, we always, look back at things that we could have done better. But definitely, we got killed on the offensive, or Arlington killed us on their offensive boards in that first half. Down by 10 at halftime, it was tied at the end of the first quarter, but down by 10 at half, down by 7 at the end of the third quarter. I'm pretty sure we had clawed it back and took the lead by 1 point, at least 1 point there in the fourth quarter, but not able to close it out. Boston, again, I thought had a great game for us, right? He scored 19 points, game high 19 points. Arlington's number 10 had 17 points. But really good game, really competitive game. I think we all sort of knew going into it. Could have gone either way. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way at home. Tough one.
Yeah. It's a gritty game. Guys stepped up, which was good to see. We just can't go down early and get so behind in especially the second quarter, going down by 10 and then leading to down by 10 at halftime. But we just can't fall behind like that at all during the game. We got to keep like a steady pace throughout the whole game, because I thought our energy was great in the fourth quarter. We came up into a press and then got some steals, and I feel like that led to, good energy from us, but it's got to be like that in the first and second quarters as well.
Yeah, and you talk about that press that we that we had instituted there, in that fourth quarter. Again, that's one of the things that I lost sleep over last night. Why didn't I do that earlier, right? We're sort of struggling for energy, struggling for some confidence in that first half, especially in that second quarter. Just as a coach, you look back and you're like, geez, man, why didn't we try that in the second quarter? We were looking for some energy. I was looking for some energy. One of the things you can do as a coach is say, hey, let's pick them up full court, and if nothing else, that increases the pace and that gets them out of rhythm a little bit offensively.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
The game, me personally, I couldn't get anything to fall. I feel like that was one of the worst games I personally had, but I feel like our energy was there. Except usually what we got to do is in the first half, we got to go out there and stomp on teams' throats. We got to stop making it a close game. But when we applied that press, I felt like our energy just completely shifted.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that, John. I thought you played really well. I do agree. For whatever reason, the balls just weren't falling, and it was tough, especially in that first half. Even Mr. Chacha, who was on the second shot clock, had said to me, late in that second quarter, he's like, something's wrong with that rim. You got to check that rim. Something's wrong with it. The ball keeps bouncing off of it. So yeah, luck definitely had played a part for us in that first half, where for whatever reason that the ball just wasn't falling and wasn't going through the hoop. Definitely frustrating for us. And you guys are right. We had pressed them and picked them up full court, and that definitely changed, our energy and changed the course of the game and enabled us to finally, erase that 10-point lead. But, to your point, and we got to try to not get down by 10, so that we don't have to come all the way back. Because if we're tied going into that fourth quarter, and then you can, make a little bit of a run or get on a bit of a hot streak, instead of getting the game tied, all of a sudden you're up by 7, 8, maybe double-digit points, and the game becomes a little bit easier to manage. But again, just thinking about it overall, too, from our team standpoint, 5 games into it, we're a quarter of the way through the season, right? 5 games into 15 games. For me as a coach, the offensive end and just us not being able to be clean offensively is a little concerning. One of the things that I had written down after the game was to watch the game film and just to see how many screens we are setting on the offensive end. I know we had done some film work on a couple of our first couple of games, and just analyzing guys setting screens. I think we had run a baseline out of bounds play for Boston, and John, you had set a fantastic screen for him, and Boston came off of that screen wide open. Isaiah happened to take the ball to the rim and got a layup off of it. But, but those screens that we're setting are few and far between. Boston set another one, I think, in the same game for Wallace, Austin Seipp. But Boston had set one. It wasn't even really a great screen, but I mean, Austin had, 5, 6, maybe even 7 feet of separation from his guy when he caught the ball. So for me on that offensive end, for whatever reason, we're just not able to set screens. I don't know if we're not going to set screens, if we're just sort of running the offense and switching with each other, or if we're not waiting for those screens to come, or we're just leaking out early, or if, setting up the screens, or maybe looking at back cut before we use the screen. I'm not too sure. What are your thoughts from a player standpoint on our offense and 5 games into it? And how could we clean it up? What can we do better on the offensive end? Because against these good defensive teams like Arlington and like North Rockland, we're not able to really above 50 points. And as good as we've been defensively, you can't score more than 50 points. It's going to be a long remaining 15 games for us. What are your thoughts?
I think we especially with the screens, we got to do a better job of setting up our defender, but then also, if someone's setting a screen, you can't run like a loop all the way around. You got to come off tight and run your defender into the screener, which I think it was against Ramapo. There were a couple possessions in a row where Austin would set that screen for me and I'd cut, and I kind of like ran my defender into the screen, and I got like 2 layups in a row off it. I think maybe that's something we could do to better
Yeah.
improve that.
Yeah. John, what do you think on that offensive end?
I'm thinking that honestly, you gotta just play basketball most of the time because running a play, yeah, you can't just like Oregon, for example. If someone drives middle, you gotta just know if you're on the wing or sink down to the corner, just like simple basketball stuff. The guy's dribbling towards you, we gotta cut. They can't just stand there. I feel like we're too stagnant.
Yeah, it's definitely true. And what we had talked about early in the season, and what I was worried about as a coach was guys sort of thinking too much out there, and sort of being paralyzed by thought and, where should I be and what am I supposed to be doing in the offense? And we've said that a number of times, right? Just play basketball. The offense is designed so that, like you say, John, when somebody's dribbling at you, get the hell out of there, back cut. When somebody's overplaying you, back cut or down screen, do something. Just play basketball. And, our offense certainly is not a very complicated offense, and it gives the players the freedom there to just play basketball, to cut, to set screens. But you're also right, Michael, in that when we do come off of those screens, that we got to come off of those screens tight. I didn't even really think about that. Sometimes when guys are setting screens, the guys coming off the screens are sort of looping around, and giving their defender, plenty of time to, to loop around with them and close out on the catch. So yeah, just playing basketball is important. Unfortunately, for some of the guys in our team, like Austin, who's not a full-time basketball player, he's only a seasonal basketball player. So we don't have too many. Boston, same thing, right? He's a big football guy. But you 2 guys, are full-time basketball players. Justin Lamar, full-time basketball players. But there's only 3 of the 5 out there that are full-time basketball players and used to just, like you guys say, basically playing basketball. It becomes tough. Not that Boston Smith or Austin Seipp aren't good athletes, and not that they're not good basketball players, but it definitely does make it tough for them just to feel comfortable on the court, and it's going to take them some time. But 5 games into it, hopefully, as we head into this holiday tournament, match up against a very difficult Spack and Kill team. Spack and Kill actually is coached by
Hoyt.
Matt Hoyt. He's a former Arlington coach. I don't know if you guys know that.
I believe he used to coach against me in Austin in baseball when we were little.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, so yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he's travel baseball Poughkeepsie against East Fishkill. That's right, I remember that. And Coach Hoyt is actually a math teacher at Arlington High School. And another little known fact about Coach Hoyt and I, we go way back, Coach Hoyt and I, because Coach Hoyt was a soccer player at Our Lady of Lourdes High School way back in the early 90s. One of my first coaching jobs was the boys soccer coach at Our Lady of Lourdes High School. So Coach Hoyt played for me as a freshman when he was at Lourdes on the boys soccer teams. So you guys cannot let me lose to a former player of mine when we go into this tournament. But Spack'n'Kill's got a good team. He does a great job, Coach Hoyt. He did a great job when he was at Arlington, and he's doing a great job now at Spack'n'Kill, and that'll be a tough one. So that holiday tournament, to give people just an idea of that schedule, Saturday, December 27th, at 1 o'clock, we tip off against Spack'n'Kill at Our Lady of Lourdes High School. And at 2:30, New Paltz plays Beacon. At 4:30, Arlington and Ketchum play against each other. And at 6 o'clock, the number 1 seed, Lourdes, plays against Marlborough. So I believe these games are sort of seeded. Like Lourdes is the 1 seed. I think we might be the 4 seed. Spack'n'Kill is the 5 seed. It could be reversed. I'm not too sure. So, if we can beat Spack'n'Kill, we'll play up against Lourdes in the semifinals, and that takes place on Sunday. Now, the weather doesn't look good for this tournament, to be honest. I know it's a couple days out here still, but that's always a great tournament. I'll tell you, when Coach Field took over the program, he got us out of the holiday tournament, and we went to a tournament at Suffern, I think. We went to a tournament at O'Neill. And I always said to him, like, why are we not in this tournament? It is such a great tournament, such a great local event. And I was finally able to convince him to go back into the tournament. He wasn't too happy with me because I think we went back into the tournament. We played against Lourdes the first game and lost by like 50 or something like that. But do you guys just love being a part of that tournament? I personally just think it's an awesome atmosphere.
Yeah, I really like the tournament. I remember even before I got into high school, just being at that tournament, just watching like all the older guys play and, the big crowds. I love it.
I always like playing in the tournament past couple years, and also just playing against people I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you a chance to play against teams that you won't play really that are in your league or whatever, like Lourdes.
Yeah. And Spack'n'Kill too, right? We get a chance to play against Spack'n'Kill, so that's it. They've got a good team. I hear that'll be a good matchup. Coach Santoro was at our game against Arlington last night, and he told my brother, that it's going to be a really good game. He said he gives the edge to Spack'n'Kill, but I don't doubt that. I think it's going to be a good game. Spack'n'Kill's got a good team. We've got a good team, and that tournament is just a special tournament. We get an email or a text as coaches every year asking, if we want to play in that tournament. And I mean, I'm always the first guy responding back in all caps. Hell yeah, man. I mean, I wouldn't miss this thing for the world. So it's an awesome tournament to be involved in it. Looking forward to playing Spack'n'Kill and Coach Hoyt, and seeing what we could do there. And then, like I say, we usually get to play, some different teams: New Paltz, Beacon, Lourdes, Marlborough, or other teams that are in there. So there is a chance that we could play Arlington or Ketchum, but an unlikely chance. So it is nice to play against some local teams, and like you guys say, play against some teams and players that you guys know, or maybe play with an AAU and CYO over the years. Just get that nice local feel. And it's really well covered, right? I mean, by the Poughkeepsie Journal, and all the social media outlets, that they do a pretty good job of keeping everybody up to speed on that tournament, and, who's doing well, and it's always Lourdes or Arlington, right, that wins that thing. Not always, but I would say the last 4 or 5 years, those are the 2 teams that seem to be in the finals. Of course, this year it'll be different. It's going to be us, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else, gentlemen? What do you think? Does that put a wrap on the first ever John Jay Basketball podcast? The design of this was just to give people some insight into what's going on in our huddles, what's going on in our practices, what's going on in the locker room. He sort of sees what's going on, when we're on the floor, what happens in the huddles and what happens, on the bus rides and stuff like that. So, appreciate you guys agreeing to do this. Appreciate you guys being a part of it, and looking forward to continuing it, Coach Betcher and Coach Procaccino. And we'll talk about the holiday tournament and see how that went. And then on another episode, I plan on bringing in Coach Mush and Coach Carvo and Coach Cesarine, the JV and the freshman guys, to talk about the program as a whole. And another episode I'm planning on doing just the returning players. So you guys will come back with Justin Lamar, Austin Seipp, and Vince Popovic, our 5 returning guys. And then I plan on doing another episode with just the newcomers, try to get to learn, some of the new guys like Boston Smith and Isaiah Hancock and, Logan Whalen and Gabe Kondo and some of the other guys. And that's the story. So maybe we'll do another captain's episode as we get later on into the year. So that'll do it, gentlemen. That'll put a wrap on it. Thanks for joining. Everybody, thanks for listening to us. And let's go Patriots. And Merry Christmas, everybody. Have a happy holiday, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.